Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joys of Code. Today, we're going to talk about the single biggest leap you can make as a data professional. We're talking about going from just writing a script that works to building a system that actually lasts. This is a total game changer for your career, so let's jump right in.
So what is it? What's the real secret sauce that separates a quick and dirty fix from a solution that's built to last? Well, you might be surprised to hear, it's not really about the code itself. It's all about having a solid blueprint before you even write a single line. And that, right there, brings us to the main event for today. It's this constant battle we all face, right? The chaos of just winging it versus the calm, collected power of building with a proper blueprint. Okay, be honest. Does this sound a little painfully familiar? This is what chaos looks like in the wild. Custom, one-off jobs everywhere. You're living in a world of technical debt. And not only is it frustrating for you, but it's pretty much impossible for anyone else on your team to understand, let alone maintain. This just doesn't scale.
But, there is a much better way to live. The answer is to adopt a professional standard. Now, just for this explainer, we're going to give it a name, K26. Think of K26 as our term for a formal, agreed-upon method for building things the right way. This is how you bring order and sanity back into your world.
So what is this K26 standard really made of? Well, it all comes down to two main pillars. These two pillars are what create our blueprint for success. Let's break them down.
Pillar number one is the data development framework. The easiest way to think about this is as the how-to guide. It's your team's official rulebook for everything. Coding standards, how you do testing, version control, the whole shebang. It just makes sure everyone is playing by the same rules, which gives you consistency. In the second pillar, that's the organizational architecture. So if the framework was the how-to, this is the what-to-use guide. It defines your company's official, approved tech stack. Which cloud provider you use, what tools you use for orchestration. It makes sure every new project you build actually fits into the bigger picture. All right, theory is great and all, but let's make this feel a bit more real. Let's pretend we all work for a food delivery app called Hungry Now. We're about to see the huge night and day difference between working with a blueprint and working without one. Just look at this contrast. It says everything. Over on the left, you've got total chaos. But on the right, you've got order. Instead of just random SQL scripts floating around, you have properly structured models in a tool like dbt. Instead of zero version control, you have a real GitHub workflow with pull requests. Your pipelines are actually scheduled in something like Azure Data Factory, and you can even track your data lineage. See, the final result isn't just another dashboard. It's a trusted, testable, production-ready data product. That is the power of a plan right there. I'm willing to bet that chaos column on the left hit a little too close to home for a few of you. So let's take a quick pause here. I want to know, what's the single worst anti-pattern you've ever had to deal with? That one little shortcut that blew up into a complete nightmare. Drop your war stories in the comments below. Seriously, I want to read them.
So, as an engineer, how do you actually put this into practice? It's really a pretty simple four-step cycle. First, you design to the framework. You don't just start coding. Second, you build to the standards we talked about. Third, you deploy using the approved automated way, your CI/CD pipeline. And finally, you operate and govern the thing, making sure it stays healthy and secure.
Now, this is why all of this is so important for your career. Getting this stuff isn't just about writing cleaner code. It's about being able to communicate your value. Knowing how to talk about frameworks and architecture, that's what separates a junior coder from a senior engineer.
Seriously, you can think of this slide right here as your pro playbook. On the left, you've got all the common mistakes, the anti-patterns. On the right, the pro-level good practices. We're talking about moving away from messy one big table designs to organized layers like bronze, silver, and gold. Or moving from sticking credentials right in your code to using something secure like Key Vault. Moving from the left side of this chart to the right side is literally the path to leveling up in your career.
So how do you actually sound like a pro in an interview? Here's your first example. This statement doesn't just say, I wrote some SQL. No way. It says you understand enterprise-level patterns like a lakehouse architecture and classic modeling principles. It proves you're thinking about the whole system, not just your little piece of it.
Here's another absolute gem. This phrase just screams reliability. When you mention things like dbt tests or a data quality framework like Great Expectations, you're showing you don't just build features, you build resilient, high-quality systems with safety nets. It shows you genuinely care about data quality.
And let's do one more. This one shows you get modern DevOps. When you talk about using Git, GitHub Actions, and Terraform, you're proving you know how to build and ship software in a way that's repeatable, automated, and safe. That is a must-have skill in any serious tech company today.
So if you take away only one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Adopting this mindset changes who you are as a professional. You stop being someone who just cranks out pipelines. You become an engineer who designs and delivers standardized, tested, and governed data products that create real, lasting value.
And that brings me to a final question for you to think about. When you look at your own work, whether it's your day job or maybe your next side project, how are you going to apply a framework to build it better, stronger, and more professionally?
Hey, if you learned something new today, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was down in the comments, and of course, make sure you subscribe to Joys of Code so you can become an even better engineer. Thanks so much for watching.